Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast, episode 70.
Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast with your host, Jack Mountain Bushcraft School founder and Master Main Guide, Tim Smith.
I'm your host, Tim Smith. I'm a registered Master Main Guide, and in 1999 I founded the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School. We help people become more skilled, more knowledgeable, more experienced, and more confident outdoors by using traditional skills, a few simple tools, and field-based experience. Whether you're looking to go from city slicker to competent outdoor professional, want to experience a remote expedition, or just want to learn a few new outdoor skills, we've got you covered. You can check out the show notes to this and all of our podcasts at blog.jackmtn.com. When you're there, click on the podcast button. And if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. Lastly, the best way to keep up with our programs and trips is to join our email newsletter, and you can do that at jmbnews.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. This is episode 70. I'm your host, Tim Smith, joined with Christopher Russell.
Hello.
It is Monday, June 17th, the beginning of week 8 of our 9-week spring 2019 Wilderness Bushcraft Semester. And today we're saying goodbye for a while.
Yep.
We're headed out on our final expedition of the course. We'll be out for about 2 weeks. And the Aroostook River in northern Maine, our home waterway. So yeah, we've been really good about being consistent with the podcast this semester, but you know, one of the realities of being off-grid and of being a guide is that you
go away from podcast land.
Yeah, you go away from anywhere where you could upload these things or have internet access, and that's one
I'm
of the...
a little frightened by it, to be honest.
To be away from the
Scared
internet?
me a little bit. I don't know if I can handle it.
It is one of the beauties of northern Maine, just the vast swaths of territory with zero cell phone coverage or internet or anything like that. But it's probably one of the reasons why we'll never be a super fancy, super big podcast. Just that idea of, you know, consistency, which is desirable if you're podcasting, versus authenticity. And, you know, we're guides and educators first and podcasters second. So we go away for big chunks of time where we don't have any access. And, all the books that talk about if you're releasing media such as videos or podcasts say that consistency is probably the most important thing, and it's just not something that we're able to do.
I've never been consistent about anything in my life.
I'm inconsistent in my consistency.
I'm consistently inconsistent. I think we just said the same thing.
Probably.
But backwards. Different.
So it's early morning on Monday morning. We've got our shuttle guy coming to get us in about an hour and a half. So we're doing last minute cleanup, last minute everything. Everybody's been packed since yesterday. Everybody going on the trip has, this is the big guide training push for the semester, where we'll do a lot of canoe skills testing, but they've also planned their entire menu and done all the safety trip paperwork, you know, all the associated skills that come with being a guide. One bit of kind of current event field school news is we've had a student this semester who's been less than tidy maybe with some of the food smells and things. So as a result, we had a raccoon get into stuff last night. So there's a little bit of last minute scurrying around, making sure, you know, what was damaged and what wasn't.
Yeah, it's a challenging thing. The raccoon is just doing what it does, you know, but the realities are if stuff's not kept clean and neat, that animal is going to get used to having us as a food source, and then
so
measures need to be taken, unfortunately.
Another good reason for us to head out on the trail for a couple of weeks to get that little guy out of camp.
Yeah.
So we've got that going, which is nice. We found over the years that we always like to end any long program with a big culminating event, right? A big kind of crescendo experience. So an expedition is a great one to do that with. And while we're out on the trail, as I said, we'll be doing canoe testing. We'll also be doing solos,
Yeah.
which is our big final end of the year or end of the semester event.
Yeah, and the great thing about these trips is that they allow for sort of a two-pronged culminating experience, and that they get a really great like group culminating experience, and that they're paddling these rivers together and, you know, just living on trail, and then they get a really great personal culminating event where they go out on their own for a few nights, and you know, we've said it 1,000 times, the boogeyman kind of dies. Like even less than that, the boogeyman dies, but you feel at home in the woods at that point. You know, you know what's going on, and you're pretty comfortable.
Yeah, the idea of the solo is after a long-term course, you know all the plants, you know all the mammals in their tracks, you know all the birds, you know all the stars, you can look up at the sky and tell what the weather's going to do, you know, all these things, so you're less of an outsider.
Yeah.
It really feels like home, and that's kind of the point of the exercise, is to, you know, it's not a survival experience per se where you're not out, you know, struggling to make a fire and shelter and all that. That's not what our solos are about. It's more about going out and kind of reflecting on the experience and being comfortable with everything involved in that experience.
I think the point of it is that, I think the value in it is that it isn't a survival, quote unquote, experience. It's that you go out and, you know, 9 weeks ago, these students, if we dropped them in the woods, would have known what to do, right? And then they go out for a few nights on their own, and they just know the systems, and everything's pretty easy.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be up to for the next 2 weeks. We're going to bring our little audio recorder, and maybe we'll record a couple of podcasts so you can expect to hear from us dispatches from the field, if you will.
If Tim and I cannot nap the whole time they're on solos, because we're pretty tired at the end of the courses, and most of the times they've been on solos, Tim and I in shifts are like, all right, I'm going to take a nap now. You take a nap when I wake up. And then we'll eat way more calories than we need to, and then take another nap.
I'm going to be sedentary and sleeping and eating calories.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah. So that's what we have coming up. Just a couple other little tidbits for the day. Number one, the Riverman course for this summer is definitely full.
Yep.
And we've had a couple of people try to register since we listed it as full, but we're limited in that course by how many canoes we can move as to how many people we can have. So we're definitely full there. And I think in 2020, we're going to run that maybe as a 2-week Allagash trip. So go learn the expedition canoe skills and guiding skills on one of the major rivers. So that's not 100% done deal, but we're leaning towards that. Other big news that we have, if you read our blog, you saw this a little bit ago, but I wanted to touch on it because I know some of you guys out there in podcast land maybe just listen to the podcast, but we are officially pulling up stakes from the folk school in New Hampshire. So the Smith family is going to put that place up for sale in a couple of weeks here. And I'm relocating full-time to northern Maine. We're looking for property near the field school, which is exciting. It should offer up a lot of great opportunities for new programming up here, and I'm really excited about it. It's a little bit bittersweet because it's the place I grew up, beautiful spot on Rust Pond, but it's been a long time since I've been there full time with being up here so much, and I think it's just about time to do so. So excited about that, excited about the opportunities to come there. And I think lastly, we talked briefly on a previous episode about the possibility of redoing the spring semester with more of a canoe focus, and that's been a topic of conversation here, and I've got notebooks full of scribbled notes about it, and I think right now we're about 90% towards the yes category for redoing the spring semester for 2020, where it's much more focused on canoe tripping and guiding and expedition leadership, and maybe a little bit of a decrease on the amount of crafty things that we do in time spent in camp. So it'll be our semester on the trail, so to speak.
We should refer to it as a semester abroad, and be like, "Oh, you're going to southern Maine, huh?" And just go a little bit south of Route 2 that's about as far abroad as we go.
But the plan is to run, during that course, run all the major northern Maine rivers, run the St. John, run the whole Allagash, run the Aroostook, run a few smaller, shorter trips like the Big Machias and maybe the St. Croix Stream. We're really leaning towards that, getting pretty excited about it. Excited to, get out and spend more time on the water. So it's pretty exciting for me, having been guiding on these rivers for over 20 years now, to think about putting them all together in one package, into one course.
Yeah.
It just sounds exciting. It sounds really fun.
Yeah. And I think it's, we talk about it a lot, but we sort of, on the semesters as they are, serve two different masters, and that we're trying to get people checked out on the crafts and sort of living on the land, as well as get them really comfortable on the water. And I think that this allows us to really just focus on one of the two and push it, because I think that a lot of people come up here and love the canoeing, and we just don't get to do enough of it because we're bound to all the crafts we got to make, all the other stuff. And we'll still do some of that, but not, it won't be as big a focus.
Yeah, we are sort of bound to the curriculum, and I think differentiating the curriculum and advancing the importance of the guiding, the traditional skills out on the trail, is something that's long overdue.
Yeah, agreed. And it'll be good to not be bound to, with all the crafts and the stuff that we do here, we're sort of bound to the property, and I think that a lot of people, which is a great place to be, but I think a lot of people really like the idea of going out, not base camping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that appeals to a lot of people, and it definitely appeals to me on occasion, the idea to just go out on trail for a few weeks and just do it.
For sure. Especially after being in camp,
Exactly.
for a length of time.
Yeah.
You want that change to be out on the land, to be
Yeah.
covering ground, seeing, a new campsite every night, fishing, seeing the waterways.
Can the guy get here now? Can we just go, please?
All in good time.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's what we have going on now. So this will be a real short one.
Yeah.
Because we still have a lot of stuff left to do to get ready to go. We wanted to say thanks for following along this semester, and we'll hit you back in a couple of weeks.
If Tim and I can stop napping long enough to record a podcast.
Yeah, if we make it out alive. We'll hit you back in a couple of weeks, and you can hear dispatches from the trail. But for now, again, thanks for following along, and look forward to catching up with you guys when we get back on the grid in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening, and talk to you later. You have been listening to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. For more information on our professional wilderness guide training programs that are college accredited and GI Bill approved, visit us on the web at jackmtn.com.